All right, Aaron Boone just took the Yankees down like the Titans submissible by way of the Devin Williams experience. And if you guys are new here, please make sure you guys like and subscribe to this video. I appreciate it. This is Gary Sheffield Jr. and with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen. Jake, after the game, Aaron Boone said he didn't keep Cruz in more than 2 pitches because why? He didn't want to overextend him. That was his verbatim answer, which is shocking beyond belief. And that apparently the 8th inning was set up for Devin Williams. And obviously we see the chat. We see everything that's going on in terms of response. And it seems like there are a lot of people, and it's a mixed bag, of course, but there are some folks that are upset with Devin Williams and the job he's doing. Guys, if you know someone's a bad chef and you continuously throw them in the kitchen to cook, you get what you pay for. You get what you ask for. This is Aaron Boone. It's his mistake. This is his screw up. To throw somebody out into a baseball game, warm them up in the bullpen against the San Diego Padres, one of the best teams in baseball, and you mean to tell me you don't want to overextend him by throwing him more than 2 pitches? Jake, you said before we went live, I'm not sure if this is a fireable offense. I don't even know how I would describe it. This is just like, do you ever have one of your good buddies in high school who takes his tests out in the hallway and then you just meander out there to see what they answer on their tests? This is one of those decisions that Boone made out in the high school hallway with the assistants. This is one of the dumbest baseball decisions I have ever seen in my entire adult life. I expected Devin Williams, just like many others did, expected him to fail, but to even be allowed to fail against this team in this moment, tomfoolery.
2 pitches, man. I just, what I don't understand is, like, Fernando Cruz has been unhittable. Okay? You already made the decision to pitch him. I just can't even comprehend what the thought process was there. And putting Devin Williams in. Like, I'm not mad at Devin Williams. This is what Devin Williams has shown us to be. He's a guy that can miss bats on occasion. He gets a nice strikeout. Michael Kay with the voice inflection will get you fired up, and you start thinking, oh, maybe he's going to get through this, and then he doesn't. Every time. Doesn't it seem like he always gets that big strikeout where you're like, oh, maybe he'll get out of this? No.
Did you agree with that answer, by the way? Because I'm not saying did you agree with necessarily his process, but he did just feed us some BS by saying, well, he pitched 2 days ago, right? Well, today's Monday. He pitched Saturday. And I'm not sure if a guy pitches Saturday, if he's able to throw more than 2 pitches. So that's the answer that he wants us to inhale and accept. I thought that answer was total BS. I did. I don't even think that answer is honest, let alone accurate and the correct thing to do. I think it's a lie. It is.
Well, if it's not, Gary, and this is why I'm glad you brought it up, because I talked to you about this before we went live. Mm-hmm. I think Boone is focusing too much on the future and not the present. And I think we've caught him doing this very often. And I understand he's managing 162 games. I understand that. But at some point, you have to realize you've lost 5 of your last 7. Stop fidgeting with things because of tomorrow and the next day and the next day and try to win the goddamn game. That's where I'm at, Gary, because I'll tell you right now, I have a stat that backs up exactly what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
So Katie Sharp tweeted this out. Yankees now have 5 losses when leading in the 8th inning or later this season. That is the most in the MLB. Of course it is, because that's absurd. Teams don't lose games when they're leading in the 8th inning. It's considered a rare occurrence. You ever notice that's why the Yankees never come back? They'll have that comeback, like I said yesterday, how they'll tease you. But more often than not, when you're losing in the 8th inning, it's a wrap. It is. More often than not. Not with the Yankees. It feels like more often the Yankees, you're like, oh, we got them right where we want them. Heart of the order for the Padres, got them right where we want them. And you know what? I don't have any I'm not going to, because Weaver's been great. I'm not going to start throwing shade at Weaver. I do not care. The way it was, the Mike Tomlin meme, we do not care.
No.
Fernando Cruz never should have been taken out of this game. The moment you unlocked him for the game, well, that's just idiotic to have him come out and throw 2 pitches. He should have been pitching, and then you should have gone to Weaver in the 9th to close out the game.
So it tells me we don't have a process to how we want to finish games.
There's no process.
I just don't understand from Aaron Boone's perspective. Before a game starts, you have a general idea. Like, you're not going to be able to predict everything that happens, but you should have some level of understanding. Okay, if we find ourselves in this situation, I know I've got Weaver in my back pocket. He can go a full inning, maybe more than that tonight. I know Cruz is coming out, because think about it. Before this game, he was like, yeah, I'll use Cruz. I'll use him if I need him. And you're going to bring him out for one hitter? 2 days ago is not a lot of work. He worked 2 days ago? What is this? Is this spring break? This is pitching, right? This is a professional job. He needs to be ready, and he has been. So why would you do this? And then Aaron Boone's response, and to your credit, Jake, it's your point, is that, well, we don't want to overwork this player. Well, what happens if you get to the end of the season? You didn't overwork anybody, but you blew 15 games in the process, 20 games in the process. Did we do our jobs? Guys are fresh at the end of the year, but we're not where we want to be. If we miss the playoffs or we're a wild card team and we get sent home early in a short series, did we suddenly do our job because we protected a 35-year-old reliever? Use him when he's ready. He was ready today. And you threw him for 2 pitches, and it cost you the game. Aaron Boone lost the game today. He did. The Padres are a great baseball team. You need to throw your best against their best. We didn't do that today. And when you get sent, not putting your best out on the mound or on the field in general, you should absolutely just be embarrassed for yourself. So as far as what to do with Aaron Boone, this is my conclusion here. I don't know about firing a person, because remember, I've said he should have been fired a year and a half ago. That was my opinion, right? A year and a half ago, I said he should have been relinquished from his duties. I have also said I am going to cover each and every positive and negative thing that he does in the future, right? And that's what we've done, to the point where people have said, you guys are going too light on Aaron Boone. No, we have not. We're trying to be fair, because some people, Jake, are just saying Boone's the problem even if things are going well and it'll never work. We don't do that. We're going to judge you off what you do on a day-to-day basis, and we're starting to notice a trend to failing in using our bullpen at the end of these games, and it's a shame.
It is, and I absolutely agree with you. First thing I want to say before I poke holes into what Boone was saying, because I had to look it up. So first thing I'm going to say is this. As a content creator who covers the Yankees, you and I both know, talking about Aaron Boone in a negative light is a free pass to free views and subscribers. It is.
That is true.
We don't like doing that. You notice we don't every single night, even when Boone does make a mistake. We tend to stay away from Boone from being in the thumbnail and from the title. But when it gets like this, we have to address it. He's had some chaotically bad endings to games that he's brought on himself. And again, that stat, how they lead the league in blown games essentially when leading in the 8th inning, that tells you that's on the manager, okay? That's on the manager. But I want to poke holes in Boone's argument here.
Go ahead.
Because he doesn't have one. You know why? Because later in the game, he would nullify his point by putting in Tim Hill, who pitched in that exact game as Cruz, who pitched 2 days ago. And he pitched 1 2/3 innings. So he literally contradicted himself by making that decision later in the game.
Caught red-handed. No, I can believe it. I can believe it.
I knew I had to look into it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what gaslighting is. So, I don't want
by definition.
Yeah, I don't want to like trash the guy personally. But do you think we're dumb? Do you think we're stupid? Because I can tell you right now, you might be able to do this to some other fan bases who barely give a rip about their team. You can't do this to Yankee fans. They catch everything. If one person misses it, if we miss that, Austin Wells was behind the plate. Turns out, J.C. Escarra was at third, but Austin Wells was behind the plate. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
There's always at least somebody who will be in the comments section, and we're not hating on it. We love it. There's always somebody in the comment section that's quick to be like, hey, you guys missed that. Or we'll say, hey, did you guys pick this up? And be like, wow, I didn't think about that. That's Yankees fans. I'm not talking about Pirates fans. I'm not talking about fans of teams that aren't good like White Sox fans, right? They're probably like tired of watching their team. Yankee fans watch every single pitch, okay?
Right.
They're not GameCast fans. And by the way, I give those teams a pass for being as bad as they are. Like, if you don't want to watch that team, I get it. But the Yankees, this is inexcusable. They've lost 5 of the last 7, and it seems like Boone takes 1 step forward and then takes 2 steps backwards. I looked at the lineup today, and I texted you. They were Aaron Judge batting 3rd, Ben Rice batting 4th, and having Goldie in the 2nd spot, close to having a perfect lineup. I love today's lineup. Absolutely love what they did today. And that's the step forward. And then the 2 steps back is essentially that. So I'm over this. I'm over, because I don't care what people say. This team is way more talented than what we're seeing the last 7 games. I really do believe that. It's why they're in every game, right? They should be. But they should be winning these games. They shouldn't be losing to the Rays. They shouldn't be losing to the Orioles. Not the Orioles this year. Maybe last year's Orioles team, fine. This year's Orioles team is dog water.
Baltimore's 13-20.
Yeah, the Rays, you had just said yesterday, the Rays have no scoring.
None.
The Yankees just went up against one of the best teams in baseball, and we're upset because the Yankees had a 4-run lead. And in addition to that, because, Carrie, I can't forget to bring this up, Carlos Rodon has been one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, let's just think about that for a sec. What he is doing is it's so unfair for him to come out of a game like that, and he already knew. It's not Fernando Cruz's fault, but I'm sure he knew in the back of his mind they were going to blow the game. I'm sure he knew that. Because Devin Williams was probably going to pitch. I mean, Carlos Rodon came out of this game giving up 3 hits. He had 5 strikeouts. Totally understand why they pulled him, right? Cruz comes in. He gets the out with the 2 pitches. But that was early. And back of my mind, especially, I don't care what any player says. I don't care what Judge said last year about, no, Clay's our guy. We believe in Clay. No, they didn't. There's not a single soul when Clay Holmes took the mound last year in the field, on the bench in the dugout. Not a single soul believed in him.
No,
not a single soul.
His agent didn't think he was closing those games. And Jake, I guess the real question here is, I see people in the chat bringing up some names, right? And you fill in the blank. There are a lot of great managers in the history of this sport, especially in Yankees history, right? Girardi and Torre, you see those answers in the chat. But I guess the question isn't there a ceiling over your head if you can't trust your manager? And that goes for all teams in baseball. Mm-hmm. If you don't trust your specific manager at the end of a game to make the correct decisions, right? Because it seems like the Yankees are hell-bent on analytics. Well, he pitched this day, and we're going to apply those analytics to this player, but that player, we're not going to be consistent. For Hill, he can pitch. But Cruz, the hottest pitcher in baseball, no, he won't. No. He's leading the game in Ks. He can't do it. But that guy right there, the lefty specialist, yeah, he can do it, right? So if you get to October baseball, isn't it a prerequisite to make these decisions correctly, consistently, to win when it matters? Yeah. That's my opinion, is that it is. So having said that, what is our answer here? What's the next play? Because as I told you before, that last year, when we were playing Baltimore, we've outscored them by 61 runs, right? 61 runs over the course of this season. That team can't score worth a lick. Toronto, same thing. We've outscored them by almost 70 runs, guys. That's how much better. And we have all these complaints in the world about our 5 through 9 this lineup. Volpe, Wells, right? What they're doing with B-Boss, right? Jazz. Inconsistency all over the place, and we're outscoring teams this much. Not even healthy. Our rotation's not even healthy. Rodon got out the gate slow, turned it around. Now he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And we turn around and we're saying, oh, Fried's an ace. And we're blowing 5 separate games by way of just poor decision making that, frankly, once you've made the decision wrong, now the results just come right after that and you deserve them. So am I rooting for this not to work? No. I would love if Devin Williams just magically turned back into Milwaukee Brewers Devin Williams, airbender. But the facts of the matter are you manage the players and how they're playing for you. That's your job. And when you throw Cruz out onto the mound, you know what he's done for you. And you're going to turn around and toss the ball for a clean 8th inning for Devin Williams. That is malpractice. It's what I tweeted. Malpractice. It's nonsensical. It is baseball suicide. He knows it. Devin Williams, I understand, wants to get better. Everyone wants this player to get better. But to just throw him out there and hope it's just going to be, it's silly. And it cost us a game, frankly, a huge game, especially with Clark Schmidt, who does not have it going into game 2 against San Diego. So the Yankees have absolutely zero momentum whatsoever heading into the middle game of this series, and you just have to pray that Clark has it tomorrow.
Yeah, and man, it's such a shame because to your point with Fernando Cruz, you know where Boone does get it right? How he's been playing Grisham. He's getting a lot of heat for playing Grisham because Dominguez is pinch hitting. Because, obviously it's more so Bellinger. But
yes,
you keep playing Grisham because he keeps producing. It's not really up for debate, right? He had another home run today. He has 9 home runs, the same as Ohtani right now. He's hitting better than Ohtani. That's where we're at right now. Trent Bonds. Right?
There's no sense to it, but it is the player you're dealing with. So to your point, if you've got Trent Bonds Grisham, you play him until he shows you something else. And Jeff J with the super. Jeff, thank you so much for supporting this channel. Says to answer your question, he shat the bed. Totally agree, Jeff.
Thank
and
you,
we're going to
Jeff.
jump this other super from Yankees for the win. Thank you so much for the 5 and supporting us. Said the sad thing about the Yankees, they always play down to the competition. As for Devin Williams, you could see it in his demeanor. He has given up. Wish Boone would see to it. Now, I don't necessarily agree that Devin Williams has given up. I will say this. Devin Williams is someone who's lost their confidence. I don't know if you guys have ever watched somebody who can't make a putt, right? Or you shank a shot out on a golf course. That next shot does not look good. It doesn't feel good. You're not going to be confident. It just is what it is. That's what a lack of confidence looks like. And he doesn't want to be in this spot. He probably hates this more than we do. Like, certainly, it's losing him a ton of money in a contract year. He wants to be, I promise you, good more than we want him to be good. But it's just not working. So I don't think he's given up. I don't think he'll ever give up. But a manager's job is to manage some of these personalities and the performance. And when you look at Devin Williams, partly the Yankees for the win, like for his credit here, he's essentially saying you don't look at that player and he doesn't exude confidence. He doesn't give you that confidence at the end of a game the way a player has to. And so now that you know that, why is Aaron Boone just tossing him the baseball saying, I believe in you? Because it feels a lot like the mistake we were making last year with Clay Holmes. Just sort of compounding the problem when we just need to take our medicine.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There's literally not anything I can say to that. It's just, it's a frustrating day at the office when Grisham has the home run. Aaron Judge extends his ridiculous on-base streak. I think he only has 1 game in which he didn't get on base all year, which is insane.
Unbelievable.
Ben Rice had a huge double. What did you think, by the way? It's
What's
so
up?
funny to me. I wrote this down in my notes. I had to. The third base coach is the most bipolar SOB I've ever seen in my life. He sent Judge on that. I thought that was insane.
Are you talking about the ball that was like thrown away and then he went home?
Yeah, it wasn't that far thrown away either. It was there. And Judge.
No, you would have thought that Aaron Judge on the send like he was Ricky Henderson. Like he's not a speed demon. Just take this situation. I remember watching the play and I was thinking, oh, this is great. We've got 2 guys in scoring position.
Exactly.
Right? We literally have 2 guys in scoring position, and I'm going to make sure this is correct. and a dude hitting 353 coming up to the plate. Yes, and you send him home there. It just doesn't make sense. Now, to be fair, I'm not positive whether or not the third base coach is responsible for his decision to go home. It very well could be, but in that situation, you just need to be more smart.
They did send him.
Yeah, that's a bad send. It's not a good send. If that's true, yes, it's horrible.
Yeah, if it's true, I mean, and then how many times has the third base coach been like, pump the brakes. I don't care that you have, 75th percentile sprint speed. Stay right there at third, even though the ball is still fiddling around at the wall.
I will say this, though, guys. Technically speaking, Judge could have gone on his own, and that's perfectly fine. It's a mistake, but also the third base coach does talk to you. You can hear them, okay?
Yeah.
So the third base coach is yelling at you, no. And you stop and you go back to third base. It's a wet baseball. It was horrible conditions. They're not backpicking you at third base. They're just not. And you need to know at the beginning of a game like this, there's no reason with your literal cleanup hitter and Paul Goldschmidt, who's one of the hottest hitters we have on this team, you've set him up for a situation and then you just walk yourself out of the situation. I just didn't get it. The risk didn't make sense in that moment to me. And I get it. They don't get an opportunity, to be fair, to just freeze the frame and say, okay, hold on a second. Goldie's on deck. These are things pre-pitch that you have to determine. So it's a lot of decision making that has to go on the fly. But if you want to win big time games, especially like what we saw last year in October in the World Series, where we make one small mistake and it compounds, yeah, sometimes you need to not make mistakes like that. But I will say, just to defend them here a little bit, if the Yankees win this game, we're not talking about that play. Again, the key mistake here for the Yankees, how they use their bullpen. They've got too many good arms that have it going right now, Jake, in my opinion. I know we're complaining about Devin Williams, but isn't Cruz giving you guys everything you ever thought Williams could possibly do? And if the answer is yes, doesn't that by definition mean that Fernando Cruz is our setup man?
Yeah.
I feel like this is being missed here. That why is Cruz being used as a super setup man when in actuality he should be used as your literal bridge to Weaver? I don't understand. I don't get it.
How is this guy the airbender? Thank you, Luis Soto, for the 5. He has a 93 mile an hour and 85 mile an hour changeup. He is grossly overrated and clearly can't pitch in New York. I understand the frustrations. I do. But I also have to defend Devin Williams, his body of work, because this is one of the most feared pitchers when he's at his best. He is one of the most feared pitchers in the league. You know who else is struggling mightily right now? It's kind of weird.
Who's that?
Clase, Emmanuel Clase.
Oh yeah, and I think they did cover that to some degree about health. But to your point, if we traded for Clase 2 years ago, you would just assume we got the next closer for the next 6 seasons. But it goes to show how hard this job is, and maybe if you look at a Cody Bellinger, you look at a Jazz Chisholm, there are a lot of guys on this team who are really giving poor performances. I mean, you guys have said that I've gone really easy on Bellinger. He is playing very poorly. Okay? Yeah. Defensively, he's been good. But offensively, this isn't what he thought he was going to be doing in an opt-in year with a player option. This isn't what he wanted, right? So there are other guys on this team that are not playing well. And I personally, Jake, I think you agree with this, we wouldn't just chalk it up to, oh yeah, this guy just can't crack it up in New York. No, I just think guys need to just play better. They have down years. We've seen them have down years before. Yeah. Maybe not Devin Williams, but there are other players on this roster. You're like, yeah, that guy in 2019, he hit 240, right? Remember Juan Soto? Yeah, he hit 240 in San Diego. So there have been down years for these different players. I don't think it's New York. I'm not going to chalk it up to that yet.
No, it's too early.
But Luis, again, thank you for the super. There's no possible way we're giving this guy nicknames. The nickname, once you've performed poorly for a month and a half, the nicknames go out the window. They're done.
No. And it's funny. I was just speaking about it to my father. It actually was a different thing. It was about Aaron Judge. And I love Cheeks.
Cheeks, best name in the house.
Cheeks is the best name in the house. And then, of course, the Abbey. Love it. Like my dad and I were talking about it. It's like Judge is literally like the greatest hitter I've ever seen. And, you know, he's saying, yeah, the only argument people have against him is October, which he can't, for better or for worse, he can't fix that right now. That's not something he can work on. He's not in October. We have to wait. But you can't discredit what he's doing currently. And then we talked about it, and there's actually a lot of players that have struggled in October. And that, you know, that brought up the whole Mariano Rivera thing. And this is the exact reminder. This is essentially how dominant and how scary Mariano Rivera was and how valuable he was, because he was always Mariano Rivera. And I feel like we kind of, you know, the whole Jeter thing, right? I think we kind of took Jeter for granted at times, and, oh, he's the next Jeter, or, oh, we got to find her, or, you know, whatever. Mariano Rivera is a guy that has been taken for granted way more than anybody, I would say. Because
you think so?
Yes, there was this assumption that you could just go out there and find a dominant closer. And I'm not saying by the fans. I'm saying by this organization. Like, oh, yeah, we'll go out. We'll throw money at the problem, right? Which is, I normally don't have an issue with, but they went balls to the wall. They got Chapman. They got Britton, right? They got Andrew Miller. They started
Betances,
going.
They had everybody.
Yeah, they went after the big names, building a super bullpen, all of that. But the reality is, there isn't a Mariano Rivera. There's only one. That's it. And we've seen now how important it is, even as great as, and keep in mind, Luke Weaver has been sensational. Sensational. Tonight wasn't the best, but it is a reminder that the consistency that Rivera had is just, it's not really, you can't replicate it. So it's a tough job, guys. It really is. And I feel like a good example of this, like if you ever played fantasy baseball before, closers are so important throughout the year, Gary. So important. But the one thing that they always tell you is don't draft too many of them. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because you can pick them up throughout the year. There are always closers losing their job.
Well, I mean, the fact that
Always.
the fact that Cruz is pitching the way that he's pitching, right? Mm-hmm. We just got him from Cincinnati practically for nothing for a backup catcher. Kind of goes to show your point. Yeah. These guys are just a dime a dozen. They just pop out the woodworks at 35. They're off a cliff the next season, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't that story tell you exactly how these guys should be used?
100%.
You should be using them on a year-to-year basis. Cheeks, the best name in the YouTube game, with the super chat of 2, says, I miss Mariano. The best part about Mariano is it wasn't a new plug-and-play guy every year. Mariano's out there. So there's nothing to talk about. The 9th inning is Mariano's. We don't have to worry about, do we go 2 in the 7th and then bridge to bottom line? No. It's going to be a quick night.
A fluke broken bat single.
Right, but nobody cares about that because they look at what you are on average. Yeah. Similar to tonight. You can kind of equate what Luke Weaver did today and then equate it to what Mariano did in the 0-1 World Series. It's not the same thing, but the point is, no one looks at the 0-1 World Series and say, man, Mariano stinks. I can't believe he couldn't save that game. No, you look at his body of work. More times than not, he just does the job with ease. And that's why he's sitting in the Baseball Hall of Fame right now. So my thing is that Weaver was atrocious today. I wouldn't sugarcoat that. I thought he was terrible. Thought location was awful. I thought his fastball location was dismal. His changeup was not good. And that's okay. Because, again, there is no Mariano to be found in this sport. So you expect every now and again, even great closers, guys you would describe as being very good, excellent, they're going to go out there and wet the sheets. They're going to crap the bed. But are we moving him out of that situation? No. If we found ourselves in a lead tomorrow night in the 9th inning, I'm looking at Weaver. That's who I'm looking at. That's our thing. So I think what people are upset about is the process. When they name all these managers and who they want at the helm, whoever that person is, they're trusting the process. Are they going to use common sense and go with the best guys, the guys that clearly should be throwing on the mound in this moment? Because right now, it feels like Boone is now making, it's crazy to say this, it's unpredictable mistakes. You'd like to say, oh, I just thought this was going to happen. Never in a million years did I think anybody would come to the conclusion that Cruz was coming out of the game so that we can throw a struggling guy who most people in our chat are like, oh, he can't do it here in New York. You put him in his place. I didn't even see that coming, and that should go to show you guys how bad this choice was. So, Jake, I want to discuss shortly, at least, I want to talk about Carlos Rodon and what we're seeing. Because
Real
I
quick,
feel like we're...
wanted to get
What's
to
up?
The super chat.
Oh, I popped it right off the screen. I'm sorry. Thank you. Go ahead.
Cashman is incapable of putting together a good roster, and it keeps getting overlooked. Everything else is downstream of that. Appreciate you, Armize, for the 5. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think Cashman likes to... I don't think... here's what I would say about Cashman. I think he will occasionally have a really good bargain bin, move. But I don't think he is... No, Gary, I was thinking about it. If you think... He does not get good value. I mean, think about this. Really think about this. Marcus Stroman, they paid him $18 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why was that the going rate? There's no way that was the going rate.
You ever been to
Marcus Stroman.
Dave & Buster's and you get 2,000 tickets? You're there with a niece or a nephew, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy all this great candy in the little the little place where you get the department," and they come out with a bunch of garbage Almond Joys, and they get the worst candy you've ever seen with all these tickets. That's what I feel like Brian Cashman's doing. And by the way, in all seriousness, to this super chat's point, because I'll never be able to read that. To the point here, I think Brian Cashman in general, his job is to mitigate risk. And I want to describe that as clean as I can. I believe Brian Cashman refuses to take risks, and he's trying to put his hand at the edge of the pool just to get the baseline high enough, because pay attention to what Yes Network says frequently about Brian Cashman. They talk about what? They talk about wins and losses, right, in the regular season, the average wins and losses. They talk about winning divisions, right? And they talk about losing seasons, winning seasons, as if those are the goals, okay? And they'll tell you they know that's not the goal, and then simultaneously turn around and give that to you. They'll feed that to you. That is not the goal of Brian Cashman. Technically speaking, Brian Cashman should have more losing seasons on his record and a higher ceiling. That is Yankees baseball. There's no reason we should be talking about, well, the Yankees didn't win a World Series the last 15 to 16 years. It's been 16 years, Jake. But, man, they always had a shot. Who cares? Who cares? And we cover this team. I want them to be in the postseason. Yeah. I want that. It makes us money. We grow as a podcast. Every other Yankees podcast grows if we're covering October baseball. Because by the time you get there, you sort of forget. But then once it's concluded, we come back to the same conclusion. Where's our ceiling? Is it winning? Well, right now in the decisions we're making and sort of what that super chat was about, our roster has enough holes where you can say, I don't really think our ceiling's where it should be, and that falls on Brian Cashman, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees have what? They've been 41 World Series, and they've won 27. My thing is, does anybody say 41?
I've never heard any. I was actually impressed that you knew that. No, I've never heard not one person ever mention 41 pennants. No.
Yeah. There are some organizations that could probably get away with that. Just not the Yankees.
I agree with you.
Not with who has worn the pinstripes. Not with who has worn the manager's jacket, has put on that hat. They're just... here's the thing. It's not just, no, it is the Yankees. It's a different level. Yes, there are guys like Juan Soto that don't care about their history and whatnot, but the history matters. I mean, when you talk about guys that leave a lasting legacy, like a Lou Gehrig, a Mickey Mantle, a Joe DiMaggio, even Derek Jeter, this is what we're talking about. These are guys that carried themselves in a way where, every game does matter. Cut the BS. We lost today. It's not good when we lose. We need to change it tomorrow. And the hope is that when you leave that legacy, because all you can do is pass the baton on, and you don't even get to see who you're passing the baton on to.
That's true.
So you just have to hope I did enough. I did my part. I left the legacy. Hopefully that is the learning experience for the young guys, and the young guys will follow suit. But not everyone does. Well, with the Yankees, I still feel like you can say we've had some guys that have carried that. I think Giancarlo Stanton's a good example.
Totally
Aaron
agree.
Judge to a degree. I think there are some things I don't love, like how PR friendly Aaron Judge is in the, he's
I'm
not
on board
quite-
with you because it's the
Yeah.
Jeter response. Like, we love Jeter, but he was a part of the winning. But if
Yeah.
Jeter was a part of losing, and then you throw the mic in his face and he's like, well, we're just going to go out and get it tomorrow, it is frustrating.
Yeah.
Giancarlo, to your point, is more raw. He's going to
is.
show up. If Giancarlo was the manager tonight and he made that exact same mistake that Aaron Boone made, you know what he would have said? He would have said, I decided I was going to set it up for a clean inning with Williams to try to build some confidence. It was a mistake. We've got to be better. We're going to be better tomorrow. That's the answer.
Yeah. And he's always blunt, too. I love it. He'll be like, yeah, we were terrible today.
Terrible.
We just
Horrible.
didn't get it done. It's just awful.
Don't you love that? Isn't
Yes.
it? Isn't it the best?
Well, it's not like a prerequisite to be on my favorite team, but it helps. After a while, if I'm going to, because if I'm catching your post game, I probably just haven't turned off Yes Network. If I'm being honest with you, yeah, it's probably just playing in the background. I hear it. I'm not like seeking for these interviews. Way too busy for that. But there are people that really care about the interviews, so no knock on them. But if you are taking time out of your schedule after a loss to watch guys talk, it's like my dad said with Juan Soto. He really didn't like the way the World Series just ended. A dream is dead. It's gone. They lost. And the first thing Juan Soto's doing is, yeah, I'll be talking to all 30 teams. Come and get me. Like,
Yeah, there's just no feel at all. So it just
Yeah.
makes you feel like the answers that we're being fed, there's not really, like, obviously they feel it. You're the manager of the Yankees. I mean,
Yeah.
at some point or another, this dude was in Little League Baseball. Like, he has dreams of this working out. Like, this is, this is still like a kid at heart. He wants
Absolutely.
this to work. He wants to win a World Series as the Yankees manager. But to some degree, you do have to be held accountable in just putting your hand up and saying, I made a mistake. I don't think there's anything wrong with making mistakes as long as you're willing to admit them. But if you won't admit you made a mistake, why should I expect them to improve? And Rich Squires with the super. I'm going to get to a couple supers here. Jeff J right after. Thank you guys so much for the support. Says Boone needs to make better in-game decisions. I think everyone agrees with that.
Totally
Games like
agree.
these last two we lost could make the difference between a road team and home field advantage come playoff time. Now, technically, Rich, this is true. But you also have to remember, I did see a chat earlier, like maybe 15 minutes ago, and we were mentioning how absolutely buns this division is so far. Surprisingly, we didn't expect Baltimore to be great. I think Jake and I both were sort of on that, but this division is much worse than a lot of people were anticipating. I think Boston was the team we were anticipating to really rival, like just be on our tail all season long. They sort of are, but they're absolutely underperforming. So the Yankees technically could be making mistakes right now that cost them home field. That is true. But man, if you look at the division, it seems like we just have 9 or 10 lives at this point.
No, it's true. I mean, obviously you don't want to just hold by that. You want to win your games, but I get what you're saying entirely. Another thing we didn't really talk about, because it's a Yankees show, but I think it's definitely noteworthy.
Okay.
And obviously, I hope he returns and he gets back better than ever, because I hate injuries. But Tristan Casas is done for the year. Like, that was brutal. That was
Yeah, it's a
bad
bummer for them.
injury, and that was one of the main reasons why I felt like he himself was one of the main reasons why him coming back, I felt like the Red Sox were in a really good place having him at their disposal, and now not having him, well, I think you're losing a significant player out of your lineup. So, look, I'm not saying that means the Red Sox aren't a team to fear, but I will tell you that is a huge blow for a team that I thought they were going to be neck and neck with the Yankees, and they still could be, but that's significant injury for them.
Yeah, it's a huge hole. And Jeff J with the super. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the 20. We appreciate you guys supporting this channel. And guys,
Thank
by the
you,
way,
Jeff.
before I read this super, please make sure if you guys are with us, regardless, well, I guess you're only here with YouTube because we stopped putting this on X, thankfully.
Yeah.
Please make sure you guys like and subscribe. Mainly like the video. It helps us out a ton. So Jeff says 40 years a Yankees fan. That's a long time. Mo is the most dominant player he's seen. Boone is mediocre. Wow. He's getting right to it.
I love the
Hal has rewarded him. I can't even read the rest of this thing. Go ahead.
Hal's rewarding him for underperforming with talent and payroll. Devin is broken. He should be pitching in blowouts, not 3-run games. Well, does tonight kind of just show you, and thank you so much, Jeff. We appreciate you. Does
that was
tonight
a funny one, man.
Not show you exactly why Devin Williams shouldn't be in that position? You could not trust him in a 4-0 or 3-0 game.
Yes, someone said earlier, by the way, and I do, guys, I do read all these chats. I certainly try. And someone said, well, this guy has no command. He should be pitching in garbage time. Well, what's interesting is what is garbage time? I guess, down 7 on the road in the rain?
And by the way, there's so many stats here that just make you go, yeah, the stuff we were talking about yesterday, Gary, about, being a little, I guess, pessimistic about the team currently. Yeah, it checks out. The Yankees have the 4th worst win-loss record in games decided by 2 or fewer runs this season. 6-12. So the majority of their wins are really just blowouts when you really think about it.
Well, can I ask you a question then, off of that data? Because obviously I hadn't heard that stat. It's news to me, so appreciate you bringing that up. But Jake, I guess my real question here is, what's the score of most postseason games? Aren't they mostly decided by 1 or 2 runs? 2 or 3 max?
Yeah, we did a study on this last year, and I think you and I, we both came to the conclusion it was 2 and under, essentially. It's like an average of 1.8, I think it is.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? Because the margins, the differences between the great teams, because I want you guys to remember something. My opinion, this is just my take, and you guys can disagree with all you want. My take is in 2024, the San Diego Padres were the best team in baseball. I understand the Dodgers spent the most money. I get that. They had Ohtani, they had Betts, they had Freeman, they had all these guys, right? They made great trades, Flaherty. All of that worked out for them. It did. They won a World Series. San Diego wet the bed in that series. They did, right? So my thing is, at this point, the difference between the Padres and then the Dodgers and then the Yankees and then any other team in baseball, the Guardians who we played last postseason, the differences between these teams are what you do when it matters. What do you do when you're up 3-2 with a man on second base, nobody out, you got a lefty up? When you got a lefty up? Well, the great teams find a way to make a productive out there. They scrap to make sure that happens. And they don't just try to do it in October. They did it in May. They did it in August. And at some point or another, their manager was making positive decisions over the years where they say, we're ready to do it in October. And that is why when we make these decisions in May wrong, people go, oh, well, what's the big deal? We're still going to get to October. The big deal is we get to October and then we make these May mistakes. That's why we're going on year 16, now into year 17, having never won a World Series. It's a bummer. It is.
It is a bummer. Slim Lewis, we appreciate the super chat there. I'm actually not that concerned about the team right now. Most of the AL sucks. We have solid starting pitching and Judge is playing like the GOAT. I think I can understand your 3 points there. I am concerned because the solid pitching is a total of 2 guys. After that, I don't trust a single soul to take the mound. I don't trust Cookie. I don't trust Clark Schmidt as much as I love him. He hasn't shown anything this year to be trusted. Again, it's not what you've been. It's what you are currently. That's what I'm getting at the ballpark. Like, I could sit here and say Cody Bellinger, I thought was going to have a close to 40 home run season. And I would say that with confidence. I felt that way.
Right.
I thought he was going to blow up in New York.
And would I say 25? I mean, that's still a solid season.
Yeah.
I actually love this super chat despite disagreeing with it. And I
do
think,
too.
And I think in general, what it tells me is that our goals are out of whack here. Mm-hmm. Our goal shouldn't be able to survive a poor American League, because technically that's what we're doing. We're essentially saying, well, the AL East stinks, so we'll survive that. No worries.
Yep.
We're gonna host postseason games, right? No Garrett Cole, no worries. Baltimore stinks, right? Toronto's not that. They're not that great. All these teams in our division, they won't push us, so we'll still go where we really want to go. But the problem is, guys, our goal isn't the American League. That's not where our goal ends, because by the time you get to the World Series, you're not going to accomplish the goal. You're not beating San Diego with these habits and with this roster. It's not happening. You're not beating the Dodgers with this roster and these habits and these late game decisions with your bullpen. Throwing a guy who you know has an ERA over 10. That is just dumb. It is. I'm sorry to use such a simple word. It's dumb. It doesn't work. So, yes, Slim, you're absolutely correct. The American League is horrible, and the Yankees are going to be directly beneficiaries of that. But having said that, if your goal is to win a World Series, getting through the American League isn't where it ends. It's not where it stops. And the Yankees, by the way, there have been some years where the AL is just not that good until we see Houston. And we never got through them, not one time. So to just assume that we're going to say, well, they're bad over here, so we can just be better than bad, and we'll still go where we want to go, I'm not satisfied by that. Not me personally.
No, and I think what we'll talk about before we get to Profit X, so we can try and get better at the picks this time.
Refinance the house, guys. Throw the for sale sign up. We're sorry.
It's all good. Anyway, so the thing I actually wanted to bring up, okay, in regards to that, is I feel like the media themselves were trying to tell us all off season, well, you lost Juan Soto, so it's going to be kind of a down year. That doesn't fly with me. They did plenty, in my opinion, to improve the roster. I know they're going through some injuries and stuff, and yeah, they'll have a chance to upgrade at the deadline. They can do it right now because it's not outlawed to trade right now. But this idea that we should be okay with a down year, to me, it's World Series or bust. They've already, if you made the World Series last year with that team, and let's be honest here, that team had a tendency to look great, and that team had a tendency to look like the worst team in the league, right?
That's
More
true.
often than not, they looked closer to the worst team in the league than they looked great. It's honestly kind of shocking that they were able to get to the World Series when you think about it. But when you go back and you look, we felt like they were going to the World Series. When they were in the playoffs, you and I never really doubted it. We didn't. That Guardian series, never doubted it. Even when they tried to make that guy who has a career 118 batting average and give him a nickname.
Are you talking about Big Christmas?
They're still calling him
No,
Big
but that's
Christmas.
the thing.
The guy
Is technically, yeah. So we have another super from Slim Lewis. He says, "Great points, Gary. Thank you, Slim." Says, "To be clear, my goal
Appreciate
is to win a World Series, to be champs. I'm counting on these moves to be made at the deadline and Heel coming back."
I like that.
Well, yes, technically speaking, like Heel's coming back. These are all great things. Okay?
Yeah.
The division being bad is a good thing. This is a great thing. You don't want the division to be great. Why would you want that? What's the point? But you also have to hold yourself accountable through the process. You can't just drag your feet through the season because you're like, well, the guys behind us aren't very good. And then all of a sudden you're in the big race at the end of the year and you don't even know how to hit the gas. That just doesn't work. That's just turning it on and turning it off and then trying to turn it back on. So I agree with you, Slim. We're on the same page. Our goals are to win a World Series. I think everybody agrees with that, but it does feel good. We have to all admit it feels good to get where you're trying to go into the dance, but then you remember, oh yeah, we're the Yankees and we're expecting to do something here. We're expected to be the last team here. And you have to be honest with yourself. Are we going to look across the field and say, yeah, the Padres, we're going to beat them in a 7-game series. We're going to show up and play a clean brand of baseball. We're going to play smart. We're going to manage correctly. We're going to have timely hitting. If you can say honestly about this roster, about this manager, about this organization, that you trust them to do that, then by all means make that decision. But right now, I don't think the Yankees, over the last 3 or 4 years, have shown we can trust them when it matters. And it is disappointing, but I will say, to some degree, we have to start asking who's responsible for why we don't feel so confident about that.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely fair, and I think it kind of goes without saying. Heel coming back, that's a great thing, but it also goes back to what I was saying yesterday. We have no idea what heel we're going to get, and I hate saying this, and appreciate your mom for dropping the 5.
Hey, by the way, hold on,
super sticker.
Yeah, by the way, my mom sent us a super sticker. We've never seen a super sticker, but mom, her birthday tomorrow, actually. So happy early birthday, Mom.
Birthday.
Yeah, my mom supports, for those of you who watch our podcast, at least on a day-to-day basis, she's always in here. So thank you again, Mom. Appreciate the sticker. I feel like someone just put it was like kindergarten where they throw a sticker on your forehead. We appreciate it.
You know what? That is on StreamYard for not having, like, how the hell are you going to give me super sticker? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just says
yeah, but we can't tell people to like the video on StreamYard. It's pretty crazy.
I know, it's wild. Yankees for the win became a YouTube member. So W to Yankees for the win. We appreciate
Welcome aboard.
you.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. I did see real quick. I want to highlight on this before we go to Profit X. Because I saw this, and Nick, we appreciate you, of course, always watching the show. I'm sorry, I love Judge. He's great. He's the least clutch great player in all of sports. What are you doing? What's up? Did you see something in the comments that made you laugh?
Yeah.
I see now. All right.
Anyway,
we'll get to that.
Did you ask me a question?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Barry Bonds was not good in the postseason.
Okay.
Was not. Neither was Roy Campanella. Neither was Craig Biggio. Neither was Jeff Bagwell. Neither was Clayton Kershaw. Right? Tom Glavine. Right? Willie Mays had his moments in the postseason. Mark McGwire, Joe Morgan. I have a huge list here. I'm not going to go through it all. My point here is that I feel like this is way too hyperbolic to say to say that Aaron Judge is like the worst postseason. I feel like it's very. I feel like it's just recency bias. Like, don't get me wrong. Judge does not look great in the postseason. But I don't know why, when it comes to Aaron Judge, do people talk about any other star struggling in the postseason the way they talk about Aaron Judge struggling in the postseason?
Well, no, it was pretty much A-Rod and then Aaron Judge. And honestly...
Is it just being a Yankee? Is that the target?
No, I genuinely think it's just... Well, yeah, being a Yankee, because we're judged based on winning, right? Alex Rodriguez joined the Yankees, and it was a handshake agreement with George Steinbrenner saying, yeah, I'm the best shortstop on this team, but part of the deal is I'm agreeing to go to third base. And our whole goal here is to win, not for me to just have career accomplishments or to hit 600 homers.
You never got enough credit for that.
Never got enough credit for that.
One of the most unselfish things, I think, in the history of baseball. I'm not.
Yeah, and at one point, A-Rod said, if I change my mind on this, you can trade me. If I say put me at shortstop, get rid of me. Yep. His entire mission being a Yankee was to win. So as it was going on, that's what people were judging him on. Oh, you're playing this way and your whole reason you're here is to do this? Well, now we're going to judge you on that. And also, if you look at Alex Rodriguez and what he did in the regular season, same with Aaron Judge, their ceiling is so much higher than all those other players you named except for Barry Bonds. Pretty much it. Barry Bonds and Aaron Judge are like the only two players I've ever seen play at this level. And then you get into October baseball and you're seeing like a 3-starter getting the best of Aaron Judge on the big stage, and you're sitting there wondering, why isn't it looking anything close to what it looks like in the regular season? That is a fact. Aaron Judge does not look like the same player. You've mentioned he's trying to force it. In my estimation, I don't care why it's happening. I just know you're too good to allow this to happen. So I want it to change just as much as the next man. It is what it is right now. And Cheeks with the super, thank you so much for the 2, says he misses kindergarten. So I'm assuming he's talking about the sticker on the forehead. Yeah, we all miss kindergarten because back when we were in kindergarten, the Yankees were winning titles. So I agree.
That's fair. Yeah. By the way, Ohtani has a career .230 batting average in 16 games in the postseason. Like, the reason I'm saying that there is a lot of players, a lot of stars. I feel like baseball is a lot different than football. It's a lot different than basketball because you can see a guy that just doesn't quite have it, then catch fire. He can catch fire from 3. You know, he can start getting to the free throw line. I mentioned Julius Randle. I mean, the guy couldn't play in the postseason for the Knicks.
He was great in this last series.
Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And he was just sensational, right? I just feel like it's different with baseball because baseball, while 16 games is a large sample size for Ohtani in a sense, it's really not. 76 plate appearances. He has 14 hits in 76 plate appearances, right? In 61 at-bats, he's 14 hits. Baseball is one of those sports, it's already tough as it is to hit a ball. And we've brought this up on the show before, and I was actually showing my roommate this. I was like, you want to know why it's so hard to hit a baseball? Look at this. You know I showed him some pitching ninja. And the tunneling video, did you see that?
I did see it.
Where there's a whoop, like parting of the seas.
Yeah, obviously hitting in October is hard because when you're facing the best pitchers who are also most locked in, they're now pitching backwards. Their sequencing's different. Yeah. So it's more difficult. But to your point, Shohei Ohtani didn't do a lick in the World Series. He obviously had a bum shoulder. That was that was also a factor. But we also have to remember the Dodgers still were able to score in key situations and beat us. And you just sort of remember players as winning or being a part of the losing equation. And when you're front and center and you're the face, you're the captain of a team, you are going to take a lot of the blame when it doesn't go well. When you lose,
absolutely,
no one's going to talk about the fact that you took Class A deep that really helped us and catapult us past Cleveland. No one's going to talk about that. They're going to talk about what you did in the World Series, and you can say that's unfair, but the reality is you're judged based on whether or not you were part of the solution or you're part of the failure. And Alex Rodriguez in 2009, any time before that, he was criticized for years. He knows this, and he wore it. And eventually, he had his day in the sun. He was a huge part of the solution. He was a huge part of the World Series team. No one cares that Hideki Matsui was unbelievable in the World Series. They're not going to overshadow what Alex Rodriguez did because they watched the postseason. Suddenly, they're all part of the solution, and they're now clutch. So I hope Aaron Judge flips this script, but as you've mentioned, Jake, it is May 5th. It's not October. His job right now is to get us there. When we get there, we're going to ask him to be this player that we saw all year long. And that player is a future Hall of Famer. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm sure he is, but it's something that he has to check off. It's the last box.
No, I absolutely agree. And I saw somebody, I already lost the comment. I was going to pin it, but I saw somebody say, something about Bonds. And what I would say is, look, Bonds in his first 27 playoff games hit a $196. He had an OPS that was 618. He had an under 300 slugging percentage. Yes, he had that 2002, but Gary, just be honest with me. I love Barry Bonds. Love him. I don't care what people say about him. Love Barry Bonds. But that 2002, which might be one of the greatest postseasons ever for a hitter, does that automatically make him a postseason hitter? I don't think it does.
No, not really.
I mean, aside from 2002, and even keeping 2002 in the equation, Gary, he hit 245. It's not Bonds. Now, what I will say is when people say, like, Derek Jeter, for instance, like when people say, oh, yeah, Derek Jeter's overrated. You know how you see that? And people will say Derek Jeter's overrated?
Yeah, I think they say that in large... Well, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Do you know why Derek Jeter isn't overrated? Do you know why Derek Jeter is rated properly? Why allowed him to get to that point? It's because he hit 321 in 38 World Series games. That's why. He hit 308 for over the course of 158 postseason games. So almost the entire year, he hit an 838 OPS. A guy who doesn't really slug, right? Like, think about that. He was everything you could ask for in a postseason player. And so that's why. Like, when people are like, I don't know you know why Derek Jeter's talked to? It's because of his postseason numbers. So I'm not trying to say postseason doesn't matter, right? Because obviously he was a great player regardless. But it is a reminder that it's okay to believe postseason is a huge deal to a player. And yes, it was like the tipping point in the Derek Jeter argument. It was the deal breaker, right? The tiebreaker, if you will. But it's not the end all be all. And like I just said, there are a lot of players that have struggled in the postseason. I just wish, and I understand it's warranted, but we are in, as you and I were just talking about, we're in May. It's May 6th. Like, let's let Aaron Judge breathe, have a season, and then when he gets to October, we'll address that. But I understand this is still going to keep getting brought up, Gary. I just figured I'd just mention that last point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We'll get to the super. Sugar Honey Iced Tea, another wild YouTube name with a super. Thank you so much for the 5. Yeah. No comment, but thank you so much for your support. Yeah, let's get to the Prophet X, because I'm trying to make a pick for tomorrow. I'm not loving this matchup. And for the obvious reason, the elephant in the room is that Clark Schmidt has not hit the ground running this season so far. He just hasn't. And I think most of our predictions was he's missed time before. Availability has been his one bugaboo. He's just not been available for this team. It's been the Johnny Lowe of the starting rotation, and his command's not been there. Actually, I think, Jake, his opening start, we actually saw some glimmers of hope. We saw some of that command as the game went on, but start 2 and start 3 look nothing like Clark Schmidt. I'm not in love with this game.
No, this isn't a great game. By the way, because it's Michael King on the mound against the Yankees.
Oh, boy.
There's only 3 players who, of course, could play. Jazz has actually a pretty good success against him. There are only 3 players that can play tomorrow that have even seen this guy on the Yankees. Can you believe that?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think, and mind you, this is baseball. I can make a prediction here. You could literally overmatch somebody on the mound, offensively, defensively, all of it, manager, and just win 7-0 on any given day. So it's baseball. But if things go the way I guess they should tomorrow, I'm expecting San Diego to make easy work of us tomorrow.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think San Diego's going to work us.
I hate to be that guy because it is a Yankees show, but I think my picks are going to be heavily leaning on Michael King because I trust Michael King. That's really what it comes down to. I don't trust Clark Schmidt right now. Michael King has a 2.09 ERA. He's 4-1 with a 1.01 WHIP. He's got 46 strikeouts in 38 2/3 innings. They did ask him if he'd ever want to come back to the Yankees. I don't know why, because that's a weird thing to be able to ask somebody during this year. Like, I don't know. But he did say he would be interested, but he'd also be interested in the other teams when he's a free agent. So, but here's the deal, right? Michael King strikes out 8 more guys than innings pitched. That's what he's done, okay?
Okay.
And I think I like him to go length in this one as well, because I think the Yankees hitters have been less than inspiring.
What's the over-under for King tomorrow?
Well, we have 17.5. Okay, let me put this up. That would probably help. Let's see here. So as you can see, we have 17.5 here, 4.5 strikeouts for Clark Schmidt. I'm gonna just stay away from Clark Schmidt. I just don't trust it. Yeah, many of them have seen King in preseason, although that doesn't count towards the actual, the stuff there. But appreciate you, Slim. And then real quick, Lorraine for NYY. Appreciate the 2 there.
Thank you, Lorraine. I almost clicked that and threw it right off the screen, so
yeah.
Luckily I didn't.
So Michael King, 17.5 outs, Gary. I mean, he's got his last. Well,
you know what actually might just. I just thought of something.
That actually seems pretty high.
No, but isn't the weather supposed to be atrocious tomorrow?
Yeah.
So isn't it a possibility that you could make the right pick here. Take the over. Michael King is going to annihilate us tomorrow. I'm just here to tell you guys right now. But having said that, what if all of a sudden in the 4th inning, there's just some 50-minute rain delay? Are they going to bring Michael King back out?
That's the thing. Yeah, that's a good point.
That under might be a sleeper pick.
Man, that's tough. What about
that
the
under
strikeouts here?
is about to be unbelievable.
I'm going to go with his 6.5 strikeouts. I'm going to go over on that.
Okay. So believe it or not, you make the picks because mind you, I agree with everything you're saying. I think Michael King's going to make us dance tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, weather is a part of making picks. I'm taking either this game's just raining out completely.
Your mom's calling you out.
What'd she say? Here goes Gary praying for a rain out. You're damn right I'm praying for a rain out. That way I can make a nice long phone call to my mommy and wish her a happy birthday instead of having to watch the Yankees just get blitzed at Yankee Stadium. I'm cool with that. I am. So, no, she's absolutely right. You guys should be praying for a rain out. That's the best case scenario for the Yankees. But if you're making picks, I agree with everything Jake's saying. All of these overs should hit, but weather may just throw it all off in a loop. So that's why, for me personally, Jake, you're going to make the ultimate call here. It's your choice. I'm smashing the under because of it.
All right. Well, this is one I'm smashing. The 1st through 5 inning money line. I'm going to take San Diego. They just have to be winning after the first 5 innings.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm agreeing with that 100%. I think that checks out. Yeah.
Yeah, I like I said, I hate to do it, but we're trying to make some money here, not, just
not run a podcast or anything. And by the way, guys, if you guys sign up for ProfitX, make sure you guys use the code YANKSU. Helps us out a ton. And obviously, you don't have to follow our picks like we're the Holy Bible. We're not in there. But these picks we're not in the Bible anywhere.
Oh, that's a bummer. I thought we were.
Yeah, but the Padres are a great team. No Jackson Merrill. I know there's been rumors he could potentially show up later in the series. We've got no data on that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, there's not a lot here against Clark Schmidt. That's really interesting. Still taking the Padres and feeling comfortable about it, but yeah, really interesting. Clark Schmidt has dominated the Padres in very limited outings. But again, our issue isn't Clark Schmidt and what he can do. It's what he's done. He hasn't proven he can do what he did last year. If he was showing us what he was doing last year, by all means, this could be a fun game. But I'm not feeling great about it, Gary, truly. So, all right, dingers for the road. Is anybody hitting a home run tomorrow? Is Trent Grisham just going to hit a home run in every game he goes up against the Padres?
Well, I'll tell you this. Jason
like
Dominguez
Grisham.
did not play today at all. They brought him in against one of the game's best closers in Suarez. He just made quick work of him. It was just an annihilation. I don't think Jason Dominguez is hitting a bomb tomorrow off Michael King. I cannot see that. B-Boss, I can't see that happening either. Wells, no. Volpe, absolutely not. Bellinger, I guess. But no. Nobody's hitting a home run tomorrow. Not in this weather.
Again.
No. Okay.
I'm gonna go with Grisham again. Yeah.
Yeah, my homer pick for the day tomorrow is no homer.
Can you bet?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can pick no one to hit a home run, but if you could, pick it.
I don't know if you can. Can you pick that? No, it doesn't look like you can. It looks like it's just home runs. I mean, I guess you could theoretically, and I don't recommend this. Put the under of 0.5 for every home run that you can. Then I guess theoretically that would just be you picking.
That's the play. You should just pick like Peraza, take the under on his homers every day, and just become a.
Well, no, because the odds are terrible. You're not
just
winning anything.
Just sell your house, put the whole mortgage on it. He's not hitting it. He's not hitting the homer.
$70 on like a $10,000 play.
Put 50 G's down, you'll win like 1,200 every day.
No, you win like 12 every day. These are like minus 9,000, or like you're not getting your money on it. Or
You put down $9,000, you win $100.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
I tried.
That's why it is done in that fashion. But yeah, that is gonna do it. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Fun episode. Man, we talked about a lot. We had a lot of people today, so really appreciate you guys showing up. And we'll catch you guys next time. Gary, do you have anything that our listeners / viewers should put in the comment section?
No, Aaron Boone was cheeks. It was a poor day at the baseball yard for him, and we were just collateral to that. We had to watch it. So thank you guys so much for all the supers supporting this channel. I know I mention it to each and every one of you when you do send it, but wanted to take the time at the end of the show to thank you guys. Make sure you guys like the video. Drop whatever you want in the comment section, anything you guys want us to talk about in the future. Thank you guys.
Oh, Ray C wants us to drop a movie, so I'll say Fantastic Four. There we go.
It's fair. Drop Fantastic Four whenever you want. I guess I'm not going to explain it. It's all right.
Drop Fantastic Four and in the comment section, and we will we'll stick by Fantastic Four. We'll do Bad News Bears tomorrow because that'll be probably on brand for tomorrow. But
perfect.
But yeah, drop that in the comment section, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
And like this video.